according to Euromonitor Nigeria, has the largest online market for clothing and footwear in Africa. And that is expected to grow from $104 million in 2014 to $1 billion by 2019. Raphael Afaedor, the co-founder and CEO at Supermart.ng, joins me now to discuss the key drivers of the growth of the e-commerce business in Nigeria, of course, all in the midst of an economic slowdown. Thank you so much, Raphael, for joining us. When we hear those numbers, it sounds quite interesting that growth is expected to continue at that pace. But do you think we're still on track to see that type of growth by 2019? $1 billion sounds like a huge business.
No, I'm actually surprised that it should be only $1 billion in 2019. I would have expected it to be even more. If you think about it, I mean, the wholesale and retail sector in Nigeria alone is $100 billion.
Right.
It's significantly informal. And it's significantly unstructured, so it's difficult to be able to see the volumes. But what e-commerce is doing really is organizing this, and by organizing this, people are able to buy it more easily, find what exactly they're looking for, and of course that also means they buy more. So we're going to see a significant growth in this space. I think if you think about it, really, what the numbers that Euromonitor is talking about is to say in some 4 years from now, would have achieved 1% of the wholesale and retail space size, right? But if you think about it more critically, we're shipping about 40,000 orders a day in Nigeria today for e-commerce, and if you take the basket sizes, you're seeing about $2 million of revenues being generated on a daily basis. Project that over a year, and we're already close to about $700 million. So we're actually much closer than it
What is
like.
fueling this growth? Because like I did mention, we are seeing a slowdown in the economy itself, and maybe a good place to start is the retail business, brick and mortar retail, traditional retail. Are we seeing growth there as well?
So what you see is what's really happening is, yes, there's a slowdown, but salaries haven't stopped, right? So salaries are still coming in. So long as salaries are still coming in, then the staples will have to be bought, right? So in my sector, for example, Supermart.ng, we sell food. People will have to buy food. So invariably they're asking themselves, where do I get a better price, or how do I make sure I don't spend so much time and the opportunity cost, right? The time, the money of getting that food. So you're going to see that growth, and even in the physical retail space, you don't expect a decline in the volume. If not growth, at least not a decline. In the e-space, because of the convenience that we're bringing to the table, people are beginning to realize that time is better spent shopping online, doing something else, and having the food delivered to them.
When you look at a place like Lagos, of course, everyone knows about the traffic. Do you think that convenience is the real value proposition that's going to spur the type of growth that we're hearing about here?
So again, with something like Supermart, we've aggregated all the inventory under one umbrella. So before, people will go to the store and find some things, and then have to go to another place to find some things, and the Nigerian woman will have to go to the open market to find her local ingredients. Today on Supermart.ng, they find everything under one umbrella. So guess what? They buy more. Because it's more convenient. So the convenience of actually not having to go to the store, and also having not to shop around multiples, not to stay in traffic, having everything under one umbrella means people actually spend more. So it's spurring the growth. The
growth of internet penetration as well. Do you think that's a big factor here as well? Of course, we know urbanization is something that has been steady in Nigeria, and many suggesting that we're close to 60 or 70% at the moment. So are these other critical factors that are driving this growth as well?
They absolutely are. They are enablers. They've been in the hands of the people for some time now. At least from 2012, we've been talking about a significant mass of Lagosians actually having access to the internet and being able to use it on the go. What is happening now is behaviors are changing, right? Initially in 2012, they were wondering, what is this whole internet shopping, right, that people are talking about? In 2014, they've heard it, they've tried it, and now they're able to rely on it. So that really is also one of the drivers.
Do you think the government is paying close enough attention to the potential of this industry to create jobs? Because it sounds like it's growing steadily. I mean, your business, I imagine, is growing significantly, even on a month-on-month basis, as more and more people adopt this. So, and clearly there are so many other businesses that work behind it. So there's a logistic business, for instance, that really underpins this growth. Your thoughts about the potential for more support for this industry that could, of course, cascade into more job opportunities?
Sure. So the government hasn't played a very active role, but I do know, for example, that the former Minister of Technology actually took the space very seriously. So, for example, had meetings with the NIPOST, for example, the National Nigerian Postal Service, pulling everybody together. And being an advocate, we all went to Silicon Valley to have conversations with investors at a certain point. So that sort of shed the right spotlight on the space. And then you have entrepreneurs in the space. So long as you have a build-up of capital looking to enter, even that minimal amount of capital, looking to enter the space, the right level of visibility generated so the talent can come back home to be able to help build. It's very knowledge intensive, and then the rest will go from there. I mean, we've seen it's really growing very. My business, for example, like you mentioned, is seeing about 30% growth month on month.
Month on month.
Okay, and so the right level of visibility being generated by the right people helps accelerate.
Well, how close are we to taking this public? That's usually the next step, right, for investors. And if we're seeing this type of, like in your case, 30% growth month on month, that is really the type of growth that investors are looking for in terms of opportunities here. So do you think we're close to that? Because I know before Supermart.ng, you were involved in Jumia, which is, of course, one of the largest players in this space.
I think at a certain point we'll begin to see public offerings of e-commerce business. I don't expect it to happen in the next year or two. I think what we need to see more of now is people, local HNIs, or even just people with just a decent amount of money in savings, begin to take positions in some of these companies, because you have so many different industries that can be supported via technology. We need more and more people saying, look, this thing is heading in this direction. We have technology in our hands. We have more and more talented people and skilled people to be able to build this. We put the right structures in place, and we put some seed funding in place so that businesses are taken off the ground. But I'm absolutely certain that we're going to see some billion-dollar businesses in this space. Even tens of billions in terms of
how
valuation.
soon though? 10 years?
I'll give it 5 years.
5 years?
I'll give it 5 years.
All right, interesting. Okay, so but what about challenges though? Nigeria is a tough place to play. Of course, everyone knows about the infrastructure issues, but then again, and it's something that we'll be focusing on later on this week, cyber crime, e-business and the risk related to that. Of course, that is something that obviously will impact the growth of the e-business space. How big a challenge do you think that is?
Incidentally, I've always been saying this. I'm actually very surprised by how well secure the payment gateways are here. I am surprised. I mean, when you do a bank transfer, you see value in the other bank immediately, so you're able to like credit the account and be able to fulfill the order. When card payments are done, the structures are put in place, first and second factor authentication. In my 4 years of doing e-commerce here, we haven't had any incidents of crime. Okay, where it's a case of the gateway having failed. There have been incidences where people have been loose with their card details, where people have actually used the card online. But even as practitioners, what we're doing is we're monitoring some of these things. Because we monitor them, we're able to alert the banks to be able to block the cards so no such thing happens. But even that doesn't happen with Nigerian cards. The incidents that I can remember, maybe 3, 4, were always foreign cards, where the banks on the other side decided they didn't want to have the second factor authentication to make it easier for their customers to be able to shop wherever they go. That is what a fraudulent individual can lay hands on and then shop somewhere else. My typical Nigerian card has like 2, 3, 4 layers of security built in. You can rest assured that...
I think given the history in Nigeria, many people will be surprised to hear that. So, but it's quite interesting to hear the growth that we're seeing in your sector. Thank you so much for joining us, Raphael Afaedor, co-founder and CEO of Supermart.ng.